Okay, let's talk a little bit about MLA format. This is just a general formatting guide for people that just want to brush up. I know that MLA is something you've seen for years, but just something to help you to refresh that. What is MLA? MLA stands for Modern Language Association, and they are the people that sit up in their fancy grammar place and decide to write books about how things should be formatted. Okay, so MLA regulates the document format, the in-text, and the works cited page. And those are the general guidelines you see that we went over before. Here's what your first page should look like, and this is what we've been doing for quite some time. The only thing is the date on here is the European date, and I will accept the American date as well, which is putting October 12th, comma, 2020 or 2008, whatever is on here. Something that a lot of students leave out is the last name and page number at the top of their document. So make sure that you are doing that. The page number, especially the research paper, since it's going to be 4 to 6 pages long, will need to have page numbers on it. And you do that in the header itself. You double click the header and then put it up there. Make sure you're not putting the number 1, but you're actually inserting page numbers. Otherwise, it's going to say 1 on every single page. Okay. All right, so in-text citations is where some people get a little bit still confused. So I'm going to focus on these a little bit more. It's important to know that the first word in the works cited page citation is what is going to be in the parenthetical citation. So the most common ones we see is if it's in a book. Like here you have William Wordsworth. So we're just going to take Wordsworth, the page number, and that's your in-text citation. Here's another one. You have the in-text citation, and there's the source. You can see that the name Burke here is the first thing in the citation, so that is what you put in your in-text citation. Making sure that you're using the quotation marks correctly, that you're leading into the quote, framing the quote. It's not just dropped in there by itself. You're trying to use fragments of the citation and not whole sentences, so it's sounding like it's flowing into your work. And that after the quotation marks, you use the parentheses and the punctuation is on the outside of that. Okay. Now, what if you don't have an author? Well, then you do have to write out the name of the article. That can be a little irritating because it's long, sometimes very long articles. Sometimes you can be able to shorten them with some little ellipses maybe, but they do tend to be a little longer. So try to find things with an author to avoid that. Here's the corresponding works cited entry for that. So you have here the name of the article is the first thing that comes in the citation. Therefore, it's the thing that comes into the in-text citation. Okay, what if you have multiple authors? Then you have to put them in the in-text citation as well, like this. And that's the way that they're presented in the in-text citation. If you look here, there's the in-text. Oh, sorry, thought I had in-text on that one. No, I did not. But the in-text citation would look something like, I'll put it in here. So if you had Smith, Yang, and Moore, and then the name of the article, maybe it's called Gun Violence, like that. So this would be your first thing in the citation. Sometimes with this, if you have first names, it gets to be a little bit odd while you keep putting them in there. So that one is a little difficulty, but that's something minor. All right, the most common sources you're going to find are your internet sources. And a lot of times internet sources are not going to have an author's last name. Now, if you're lucky, you can get one that has one. Reliable sources generally are going to be ones that have an author's last name because once they put their name on it, often say that's a way to know that it's moderately credible because their name is on it, so it's a little bit more like legit. But a lot of websites or informational websites put out by companies or organizations, and those don't have authors' names because they're just information that is collated by a lot of different people, or they just don't put it on there as who wrote the article. So If you have it, you can put it in there. Obviously, there aren't any page numbers either, so you don't have to worry about page numbers on these. If you have ones by multiple sources, this would be time to put in the title of the web page as well, so that you can put that in there and know which one you're talking about. Here's some examples of how to format the quotations so they sound well, because there's lots of different things you can do here. If you put the author's last name, then you only have to put the page number. If you don't, then you have to put the author's last name and the page number at the end. So there's a couple of different ways you can introduce the citations. If you have a long citation, you have to block format it. And that's what's shown here, not terribly well. This actually, what you would do to the text is you would select the text you wanted, and you would actually have to go up and mess with the margins. And on a Word document, obviously they look a little different than they do on here, but you would have to mess with the margins to be able to block them in about an inch. And as you can see on this one, it messes it up because of the way that the text is, and you would have to fix that and make it right. I've messed up my slide. There we go. At the end of it, you notice that this is not in quotation marks because block quotes are never in quotation marks. We understand that by indenting the text that means it is a quotation, a citation, and you don't have to quote that. Also, the punctuation does not go after the parentheses. It goes before, as it would in a normal sentence, and then you put the last name and the page number afterwards, like this. Okay, if you want to add or omit words, you can add words by putting brackets. You can see here that these brackets are here to make the citation make sense within the context of the sentence. Because remember, citations are always putting the ideas from other people into your own ideas, and it's your ideas that are most important, not what they're saying. So you're just trying to take that information and support it to support your own ideas. So in this case, you can change the wording if you need to. Just brackets for adding and ellipses for shortening. And this one's a common one that people have been taught in years past, even in middle school. A lot of times they will teach you to put ellipses here, sometimes even at the beginning, at the end. You don't need them at the beginning or the end unless for some reason you're omitting something important here, but generally you just find them in the middle of the citation. So that is everything on InText Citations and inserting the author's work into your own work. We'll do another one on Works Cited Page.